So welcome. This morning, I decided to show you something about TabExpansionPlusPlus mainly, but the story starts somewhere else. So I'm not sure if you have the situation yourself, or you have a colleague or maybe friend that has this problem. Making a typos, it's something that we do like for a living, in my case at least. And the good thing about PowerShell is that it was supporting the people like me from the day one. It was awesome. So it would tab complete command names, parameter names. For some, it will also complete the values for the given parameters, variables, everything was almost there. And it was great. But there was always the situation when you really think that tab completion would benefit you. Because, for example, if you, let's say, you deploy a VM and you mistyped some part of it, it may fail miserably. If you specify, I don't know, switch that doesn't exist in your environment, that's going to be tricky to deploy that one. So typos are really part of our job, and anything that we can do to avoid them is actually affecting our productivity. And also, what I realized back in the days was like, okay, just because something is dynamic doesn't mean it's unknown at the time when you run the command. So, agenda for today is that first we will try to explain why we would like to save Mr. Typo. Then we will see what can save him. So I'll explain in brief details, briefly what other options you have for that. And then we will drill the demo, so don't expect too many slides from me. That's not what I do. And in the end, we'll have Q&A. But if you feel like asking any question at any point in time, just speak up. I don't bite, generally. So why? So first of all, this is the hidden identity of Mr. Typo. I hope that you won't recognize him. So first of all, typos kill productivity, as I said. So you mistyping command is a bad thing, but you mistyping them all the time is really like you want to do something, you want to move forward, and it's not a problem if you get immediate reaction from the command that will tell you you mistyped it. But if it's like takes 5 minutes to run a command and halfway through it will just tell you, okay, I failed, you stop paying attention to it, and then you come back and it's like, oh, it's this error again, right? So we hate those things. Again, just because something is dynamic doesn't mean it's unknown. So the author of the command will not be able to tell what VMs you have on your cluster. It won't be able to tell what are the attributes in the Active Directory, because it's something that you can change with the schema changes, right? She or he won't be able to tell, okay, you have this disks, you have this, I don't know, this users in your Active Directory. And nice thing about GUIs in general is that when you go through them, it's usually very easy to find things. So for example, if you want to open a file, you don't have to remember exactly what the file name is. You just type part of it when you go to the open menu, and then it will filter it out, just show you the files that match what you just typed. And then you can select if it's just demos1.type.xml or demos2.types.ps1 or something like that. So this discoverability is something that GUI provides, and that's something that also helps people like me, and maybe some of you, or maybe your friends, that make a typos. And last but not least, Mr. Typo is a nice person, so why not help him? Or me, sorry. So what? So what we have? There's a feature, not sure if you guys are aware of that. So if you type the hash at the beginning of your line and you type something from the command in the past, that you run in the past, it will tab complete it for you. It's regex match, so you can just type part of it, like something in the middle of the command. If you tap through that, you will get all the commands that you run before that match the string that you typed in. Second option is that you can type ID of the command. So if you have, you know exactly what the ID of the command that you run in the past was, you can say hash, the number of command, tab it, and then you can just change it a little bit, tweak it, and make it work. There's also Ctrl-R when you, on PowerShell version 5, or actually if you install PS readline on any version of PowerShell above 3, then you get this Control R, which is coming from the Linux shells. Basically, it allows you to search through history, and you can Control R, type the part of the command that you want to find. If it's not exactly what you want, you can press Control R again and again until you find the one that you really are after. Obviously, we have tab expansion, so like the basic one, the one that we already have in the box from version 2. Version 1 has already had it, but version 3 changes, so we now have tab expansion 2, which is slightly smarter than the one that we had before. And obviously, last but certainly not least, we have TabExpansionPlusPlus. So this is what we can do. So I will focus on the last element, TabExpansionPlusPlus, in this session. And I'm going to show you how you can use register argument completer to actually make your commands or somebody else's commands, providing you with this experience. And then I will try to show you, okay, let's say you are fortunate enough to run PowerShell 5 already in your environment, and you know that your colleagues also have it, how you can use the features that it provides to make your authoring for the commands even better, so that the registration is not even necessary anymore. And with that, we'll go into demos. So enough for PowerP, time some PowerShell. Yeah, let's not go there. So I know I have 2 sessions for myself, so let's just pick one. That's the one I want to show you today. Surprisingly, something didn't work. Okay, that's because this file is not really easy to close. So there are 2 options for tab expansion. So first of all, you have, if you're running PowerShell version 5 or above, so I think that applies also to 5.1 and 6. If you have this version, you already have command register argument completer, and that one is part of Microsoft.PowerShell.core module. By the way, can you see it clearly from the back? Can I zoom it down, maybe? Let me try it. Tell me when I should stop. Okay? Yeah, let's keep it at that. So that's a built-in command. You have it when you run PowerShell 5 or above. But I strongly recommend that you install TabExpansionPlusPlus module from Gallery, regardless. Because it's not just that, it's much, much more. But you have to be careful because I want to install it now because I already have it installed, and Wi-Fi network is not really working that great. But in general, you have to remember that if you want to install it on your box, you have to tell it to allow clubber, because PS Gallery module, unlike other commands in PowerShell, doesn't behave like a friend. It behaves like your mom. So when you try to install a module that has the command that you already have on your system, it will tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. Instead of saying, okay, I'm just telling you, you have this command already, you have to be worried that it may collide. So to tell it, okay, mom, I know, you have to specify allow clubber parameter, and then it's all fine. It's okay to install it. By the way, if you have problems with updating your pasta on your box, because you have it in the box, you have to include even more, because Microsoft shipped it with Windows, but added the folder certificate for it. So if you try to update it, it will tell, oh, by this version of Gallery doesn't have it. Obviously it doesn't have it because it wasn't done by Microsoft, so the people that publish it don't have rights to sign their code with a Microsoft certificate. But then you have to add a skip publisher check or something like that. So be careful with this module. It's great, but really behaves like your mom. And I hate it. I hate when my wife does it. I hate when my PowerShell does it even more. So let's see what the commands we have in this module. So let me just make it slightly bigger so we can see everything. So on top of the already known register argument computer, we get some other tools as well. And for me, I'll focus today on the test argument computer. That one is very nice. I will show you in a minute why. And there's also a new completion result, so pay attention to that guy as well. And also there's a get argument computer that will allow you to see what you registered. That's not possible with built-in command, because that one just allows you to register, so it's fire and forget. You have no means to see it, you have no means to test it, other than just trying to run a command, try to press tab like crazy and see that nothing happens. Oh wait, sorry, let me move this logo because it's kind of cluttering the view. Okay. So, we've been there. So first things first, I will define a very simple function that doesn't do anything. So yeah, not very useful for your production environment. The point is, I want to show you what parameters you have when you register an argument computer. So what you can do with it. So what you can see from the command that you are about to help the user with. So we will register two argument computers for different parameters here. The first one, let me just change it so that we can see all the code at once. So the first one will focus on args parameter. You have it. Sorry, so it's fine to have so that's how you approach the parameters within the script block that you will use for registration. The second one is kind of exploding this and showing you much more, so what's inside of it. So if you run the first one, let's switch back to this one because then you can see both my console and the output. So if I try to tap complete that one, it will call the completer for word 2. If I tap here, it will try the other one. It doesn't do anything because my registration doesn't really return the results that command would expect. But we can at least take a look what's in there. So you can see I now have test completer, parameter, all those elements of the args, I see them. So first one is the command name. The second one is the parameter name. Then there's like what your word to complete looks like. So what the person already typed in. So that's the step where we check, okay, you typed in that, so I know that I should limit my results to anything that matches what you just typed in. I don't want to show you everything every time because that doesn't make any sense. The third one is AST. We don't see it very well because we just see like the string representation of it, but generally it's just whole AST tree. Do you guys know about AST, what it stands for? It's abstract syntax tree. It's a way to look at your code as your language or your engine looks at it. So it just goes to looks at the code and it's like, okay, you have this command. This command contains with the command name, the parameters, arguments. Then you have some brackets in there. So there's a script block you can run into that, and it builds like the tree of that, starting from the top. So the main command that you run, and everything underneath it goes like in the branches. So AST is one of the things that you can get here. So if you are really smart, you can use this AST to figure out even better completion that a sane human being would do. And if you look closer, you can see that this is the parameter that we got. And this is AST also. You can see that there now this is the actual, what we got really. And you can see now, because previously it was showing that the last parameter was hash table, but doesn't help you much, right? Just knowing that it's hash table, but what's in there? That's the question I want to answer to. So as you can see, that I name it for a reason. It's fake bound parameters. So the good beauty about this whole tooling is that you don't only look at the command and parameter and the thing that people typed in, but maybe, just maybe, they typed in something else as well. So that may limit your results already even more. So like in this GUI representation, it's like if you browse the folder, you don't want to show the person all the files they have on disk that match the string. You just want to show them the files that are in the particular folder only, right? So here we also want to do something similar. So, anything that we'll do, actually, it's in the same namespace. So we have system management.automation. That's the namespace where all the classes related to PowerShell live. And one of them, let's just get those in, so we don't have to type the whole name. So one of them is completion completers. I'm not sure if I spell it right. Anyways, that's a helper method that helper class that you can use if you really want to go fast. So you have more or less idea what you want to complete. So instead of completing something random, you can tell it to complete a command, file name, operator, whatever, and that one kind of is a shortcut to get there quicker. So we can just say complete this file name. So as you can see, I'm here in the folder with all this PowerShell scripts. So it will just show me all the PowerShell scripts I have in this folder as a completion result. That's what actually would happen if I would make it a method used by my completer. It will actually provide me with this completion text. I would get that in the IntelliSense output, so the list that you can see in ISE as like what will be completed in the end. Result type is the icon that you get in the left in the IntelliSense. So depending on the type of object, you get different results. And tooltip is something that will be shown next to it. If you just like going through the list, you stop at one of them, you will see next to it the tooltip that will tell you, okay, tries to be explanatory what this given thing contains. So this was for the file name. We can do that same thing for command. And as you can see, the result type now is different. So now it's command. If I would try to complete it, I can actually maybe show you even, because that should do as work. So if I just do Control Space, you can see that it looks like the icon next to it is like more or less like looks like a PowerShell command. If I do get command minus name and try to wait for that one, does it work? No? Okay. So get process minus name. So you can see now it's slightly different icon, and that's where the item type kicks in. So that defines what you will see in the output here. So if you just in a console, you couldn't care less, right? Because you won't get any icons there anyway. So how would you generate those results yourself? Well, completing result, that's another class in the same namespace, has a method new. And as you can see, we have two overloads for that one. So first one is very complex. You have your completion tags. So the first part, list item tags, so the one that will show in a list. Then we have this result type. So that's like, is it command, is it parameter? And last but not least is a tooltip. So that's the one that you can provide. But for the majority of things, so when you really start with it, I would like ignore the first one. There's so much things going on there, you don't need that, most of it. So I would recommend just stick to the new, where you just specify a string that you want to show, and that one will go everywhere. So tooltip and the list item and the completion text all will be the same, which for the most part is not that bad. I mean, usually it works just fine. So if we try the first one, so like the override that gives everything, you will see that I got more or less the same what we got from the this helper methods, from the static methods of the completion completers. But now it's just mine, so I just specified what I need. And if I just do this one, as you can see, everything goes text. Doesn't make really sense here, but for some reason, PowerShell doesn't care. If it's like that, it's okay-ish. I don't know why, but yeah. So basic example, we'll start now to actually change commands produced by others. That's probably the scenario that you have most often. So you have a command, it's great, you love it, but you would like it to complete certain things because otherwise you are lost in the middle of it. So I will take for the first one, get win event. You have parameter log name, I believe, or provider name. Log name. That's the one I use. So I generated a script block for that one. Let's register it. And now if I try to complete that one, I can get win event, try to tap, it taps the name. But there's a small problem with this one. So the method that they provided us with is great, but has one big problem. It cannot recognize when you need something more. If you look at this command, if I would try to run it, any guess what will happen? Yes, thank you. So any space will break everything here because, well, it will try to get win event from Microsoft user log, and I don't believe I have that one. And to make matters worse, it will try to map the other things to parameters that don't even exist on this command. So in the end, it will just tell me, are you serious? So yeah, experience was the one that it tripped on because it couldn't find any parameter that would take a string like that. So that's where one of the things from TabExpansionPlusPlus come to the rescue. You seen this new completion result. So if we lucky and internet works still, we will be able to see it. If not, I will go back to PowerShell and just give up on it. Okay, let's leave it at that. Oh, wait, it worked. Amazing. Okay, I'm taking it from the repo, so that's where Jason Shirk and other people that are involved with TabExpansionPlusPlus module generation are working on it. And you can see the command, and it's actually pretty smart. I'm not sure if you can read it. Let me try and maybe zoom in on that one. Because most of the magic happens here. So from the line 473, you can see the tokens are null. Then he goes with, takes the string, uses AST again to figure out, okay, what the hell. And if it notices that it's actually just a string with a lot of spaces, then he will surround it with the single quotes. If not, just leave it as it is. So if we use that one instead of the just going the method directly, so let's just change that one. So as you can see now, I'm using the new completion result command, and let's register that one. And if I try, this one didn't break, so it still works as expected. The other one, come on, yeah. So the other one, because it would require spaces, it just tries to be helpful about it. So I can just stop through all of those, and all of them, when they are spaces in the names, it will surround it with the codes. So that's one of the reasons the new completion result is very helpful. However, it would be nice to have it in engine itself, right? So that we don't have to download module from gallery just to have it. I hope that they will do that in PowerShell 6. In PowerShell 5, I wouldn't bet my money on it after the presentation yesterday that will change anything there. So you may be forced to install TabExpansionPlusPlus anyway. So this is for very basic. You just you have your parameter, you have your string that you want to complete, and you just look up what you can complete it with and return the results. Okay, this is what I can work with. Next off, we will try to make it smarter. So now this time around, we'll try to take whatever person typed in for other parameters and use that one as a part of our experience for the user. So I'm generating two parameter completions here. And what happens is that now, if you specify the path in registry, I will go and look in this registry entry and see what the properties are there. Therefore, if you go to registry, normally you have those ugly PS custom objects all over the place. and there's no way to tab complete the name. If you want to set item property for the given key, for the given value in the given key, you have to remember it, or like get item property, give me everything first, and then you have to type it yourself. With this one, I can just do it for you. So if I try to test it, so that's another thing about this. I just test my results and see, okay, this is what I would do. And I can double check if it actually works. So let's just try it. I can just copy that one, that should work. So get item property minus path. So this one is pretty important because I specify path, so it knows the context. And now if I type the name, as you can see, it just taps the names within this path. So I'm kind of safe to know that it actually exists there. I'm not guessing what's there. But obviously there are situations when it fails. So my experience was that I, let's say 7 out of 10, the first time I write a completer, no way. It doesn't work, just doesn't do anything. And without, if you would just use register argument completer, it's like trial and error almost. So you run it, your registration, you try it, doesn't work. Okay, what did I do wrong? No way to actually see what failed. So here I broke it intentionally, so I know it's broken, but, well, why? That's a major question. So let's go down. I swapped those demos for some reason. So now if I run this test argument completer with this parameter, I can see that, not sure if you can read it, so I'll read it out loud. There's no overload that takes 2 parameters. So if you scroll up and see what I did at, I intentionally, well, I specified new with 2 parameters where it should just have 1, remember? So there's overload that takes like 5 of them, but there's 4 of them, but there's none that takes just 2. So it failed. So now when I see what the problem is, I can fix it, which is always good. Fixing problems is what I like to do. So if I change it to proper override, so now I just use 1 parameter instead of the 2, and I tried that, it just works. But that's not the only thing that you get when you install TabExpansionPlusPlus. Because before it came, before this TabExpansionPlusPlus became part of the PowerShell core, there were some people that actually looked at the commands that exist and thought, okay, we not only want to have a tooling for adding tab expansions, we also know certain things in the system that we can already provide a community with tab expansions. So we not only get tooling like this, but on top of that, you also get like somebody went into trouble to actually write those for you. So if you look at what we have, for example, we can tab complete the VM name. And the good thing about this, you can also use this as like starting point. So you can use it as just like, okay, let's look how they did it. So I can do it the same for my commands or commands that I don't have a completion for, and kind of run from the people that actually had spent some time on it and just kind of figure it out eventually how to do that. We also have the already completers for commands that just were shipped in 2016. So as you can see, this rename local group, that's the one of the commands from the local user group thingy. It already has completers, so you don't have to write them yourself. You can just download that module from gallery, install it, and then you can do get local group member group administrators. Wakey. Oh, it wasn't the zoo yesterday, so I'm not sure why it's so slow. Anyway, trust me on this one, that should work. Oh wait, I maybe didn't import the module. Import, oh actually I think it did. TabExpansionPlusPlus. So get local group. Name. Yeah, so now you can see it works, and also it has this new completion result, obviously, so you get the results that make sense, not the results that will break your command. And as I said, it has this nice command, get argument completer as well. So you can actually see all the completers you have, and you can see here the files where they are located, so you can just open those files and read it, learn from example, write your own. You don't have to start over. So as I said, I can tab complete the VMs on my laptop, those that start with D. Yeah, I did that one already and it didn't work very well, but now it works. Demo gods. So, as I said, this module is very useful not just for helping you generate the commands and testing it, but also you get some parameter completers already for you. So there are a lot of them and a lot of commands that you probably thought of, okay, oh, I'm going to go back home and I created for it. Well, please download that one first so you don't have to write something that already exists in a while. It's always a good idea to check first if you don't have it already for you. But this is, okay, this is experience that you have. I have a command that exists on my box, like let's say PowerShell commands. You have yours, I don't know, something for your storage devices. You also have your commands. You maybe want to tab complete some parameters there. I'm pretty sure there is no completers in this module because I think that Jason was really picky about that and said, okay, give me anything, but it has to be something that is in the Windows. If you want to something else, just publish it somewhere else. I don't want that here, which kind of makes sense because it obviously bloats the module if you would start at completers for any module that exists. But you can create your own. But this is the experience you have when you take commands from others. But what you can do when you alter commands in-house. So what are the options when you are writing modules? I hope some of you do. How many of you wrote a module in life? Okay, that's good to see, because then you may take advantage of the next part of the session. Otherwise, well, you can still enjoy it, but you probably won't be able to use it immediately. But if you didn't start writing modules, please do, because it's like, even if you do have a commands in-house that you use daily, trust me, modules are really helping discovery. How many of you have a situation that you wrote a script like 3 months back, and now you needed to run it? Oh yeah, you know the story even before I finish this, right? So you have the script, you wrote on it, and you remember that you spent so much time writing it, but where is it? Was it on my home drive? Maybe it was in my in some Git repo, which repo I put it in? But if you put it in a module, and you publish this module in your internal gallery, anybody can download the module, first of all, and also once the module is installed, it doesn't have to be like 10 of them, it can be just one. But the moment you have it, discoverability for everybody in your organization is improved. And also when this colleague comes to you, it's like, oh, I remember that you had this nice script 3 months ago, and then you spent whole day finding the script because you really like this guy and he was helping you so many times. Yeah, you don't want to be in that situation. I've been there so many times. Even with the module being there, I was like always, you know, just write really dirty code on the side. So I couldn't put it in a module because we have so many rules around that. But yeah, I really strongly recommend that you start doing that because it really benefits everybody, including yourself, in 3 months or even 6 months or whatever. So here I'm generating the fake module. And okay, so any version of PowerShell. When you are in a situation that you cannot depend on PowerShell 5 being there, you have only one choice, in my opinion. So when you alter the module, obviously your command has to be v3 compliant. You cannot have anything that wouldn't work in v3. Because you don't want to break your command so that it has tab completion for some people that use PowerShell 5. That's just a ridiculous idea. Because your first instinct should be, I want to provide people with my command, not give them tab completion as like primary goal, right? But you still want to give them this experience if they have a module like TabExpansionPlusPlus, because that one you can download to PowerShell 3 as well. It works just fine there. Actually, it was altered with PowerShell 3 in mind. So, if you're in this situation, you as a command author, well, in my opinion, the only thing you can do is just, okay, if I import the module, I can always check if the person already has TabExpansionPlusPlus. There's no cost involved in that, right? And if he or she have it, well, I can just register my argument completer using a command that this module contains, right? I don't even have to check if the module is there. I just care if the command is there, because that's all I need. So that way it will work also on PowerShell 5, where a person has built-in register argument completer, but doesn't have a module, for example. So in this case, that's what I'm trying to do here. So I generate this, again, this empty function. And then if the command register argument completer exists on the box, okay, then I can use it. And then I tell it what to do. And if I run this one, I get this module. And if I try to, run test foo, my parameter bar, very innovative. So I now have all this completion. And if I type something, it actually fills out, so it works just fine, right? So that approach would work regardless if you author for 3, 4, 5. But what in the situation where you actually can guarantee to have PowerShell 5 on the boxes that people will run your code? Or your module is touching technology that doesn't even exist in the previous version of PowerShell. Let's say you wrote something that, I mean, DSC can be potentially used PowerShell 5. I would not recommend it, but if you really insist, you can. But from my perspective, DSC, that's something that belongs to PowerShell 5. So if I'm writing anything for DSC, I don't care about version. I assume that person has version 5, period. So in this situation, when you either can guarantee that people that will use your module, or your module is like built in a way that it has to be running on PowerShell 5, or let's say you just build the module that is more for like PowerShell 6 even, well, then there's no question asked. You can rely on the register argument completer being there, and you can rely on other things like argument completer attribute on your parameters. And that's really where argument completion authoring is really awesome. So let me show you how it works. I will switch to the code-only part. So generally on your parameter, so I have a parameter bar here, I create an attribute which is named argument completer, and what it takes is a script block. So it's similar to validate script, for example. That one also takes just a script block. And within the script block, I'm having the same experience that you have with register argument completer. So I have exactly the same parameters thrown at me. So here I'm doing almost the same. I'm saying, okay, this is my work to complete. This is the completion results that I want to return. So all the code that normally would go to register argument completer can go here as well. So this is the first step. That's the way to test it. You can always do that. There's no problem with this. But it's even better when you, let's say you have 3 or 5 commands that should behave kind of the same or even exactly the same. So for example, we have internal module where we talk to Jira. And in there, we have reporter and assignee. Both of them take ID users. So if I would have to repeat all this code for both of those parameters, it's just waste of time. And if I want to change either of them, I have to remember to change in both places, which is always a question, okay, how quickly you will make a mistake and forget about one of them, right? So the good thing is that I can just put a script block there, just like that, but instead I can just create a function that will be smart enough to figure out, okay, which parameter I'm trying to complete, because remember, one of the parameters that we got from the argument completer thingy is command name, parameter name. So your behavior of your completer can change depending which command are you looking at and which parameter you're looking at. So that's what I'm doing here. Let's switch back to this view. And now I can just say like this. So for speaker, I want to get completer args, and for title, I do the same. So if you look at the code like this, you know that there's some command get property completer that you use, but you don't have to read all the code in there. Because it's kind of, okay, it's completing this property, I'm fine, okay, move on. So if we just import that one, yeah, okay. I was changing that last minute, and I guess I forgot to remove certain things. So if I import that module, that one doesn't have any completion at all. So let's try conf use session, speaker, and well, it doesn't have any completion. I have to remember speaker names. I have hard time remembering my own, so it's not going to work. Let's just import the other one instead. And that one is actually using the completer, but it's using the one with the function. So let's see, completer, sorry, conf use session, and I have a speaker. I can select the speaker that I want to see. And on top of that, I also have completion for title, and that one is using also the fake bound parameters. Therefore, I just see the only session that Jeffrey did. So if I select somebody else, let's say my friend Daniel is presenting in another room. So if I want to see title that he did, I can see that he did two. He's doing one now, and he will do one tomorrow. So I can see this in the completion results. The one thing I didn't like about that approach is that I probably did it wrong, so it's probably a better way to do that. In the end, I had to export not only the function that I care about, so get conf EU session, but also the one that was used within the completer. Otherwise, it didn't work. So if you find a better way to do that, please let me know. But generally, it just defines this new completion result. Yeah, because I don't want to rely on the TabExpansionPlusPlus to be there. I also define the completer, sorry, get complete property completer, so the function that we use within the script block, and then in the end, I also define, where was it? The function that I run. So if I would run it, because, well, I didn't run it yet, right? So conf u, no, get conf. Oh, seriously, speaker Tobias. So if you run it, you will see the data from the powershell.video. Actually, I just dropped that to my desk, so it's outdated because a lot of things have changed. So you may notice that there were some speakers in the list that didn't show up. There were some speakers that that were not planned to be speaking in the list as well. So, sorry, there were those speakers were missing from the list. Anyways, that's why I generally don't trust internet here. That's why I needed to have a backup plan. But that's not the only thing that you can do. So this is when you use PowerShell function or just put a whole script block in your argument completer. But that's not the best way to do that, to be honest. That's not how we do that in-house. In-house, we realized, okay, there's a pretty nifty way to do that when you define a class. Because classes are generally just DSC-related feature, to be honest. So they shine there, but other than that, they seem like they kind of shaky, not really working the way you would expect it to. I think if you've seen the stuff on the session on Tuesdays, it was obvious that he would love to have more in there because he was trying to use certain things that you would expect from the class to work, but it didn't. We have the same experience ourselves. The point is that when it comes to tab expansion, it also works pretty well. The only problem is that you have to almost copy-paste the syntax. I tried myself to make it PowerShell-ish. That didn't work. So be careful when you use it, but once you have the boilerplate code already somewhere, you can just copy-paste it, right? That's not rocket science. And other than that, it's all PowerShell, so that's something we can live with. So we have documentation online. Again, I'm going to be brave and try to open it. that explains what we have to do there. So what we do is we create a class that derives from a e-argument completer interface, and the only thing we have to do within this class is define our method complete argument. That's all we have to do. The problem is that you really have to pay attention to the type of the parameters that are passed to it, because if you skip any of them and try to be smart about it like I was, so for example, you see the last one is system collections of dictionary. I thought, okay, hash table would do, right? Forget it. It will not see that and will complain that you haven't implemented the method, because it doesn't see that it's actually the same description of the method is different than the one that they expect to see. So with that in mind, let's go back to the code. So here, I do more or less the same. So I derive from this class, as you can see. Okay. The guy is not here, so I'll continue to talk. If you have any questions, please, again, just raise your hand. I will try to not miss it. And if I miss it, just scream out loud, and it's like should be fine to hear it from here. So I define this class, and as you can see, I even defined the return type the same as it was in what they told me to do, because otherwise it's not really happy with you. So as you can see, also this one, it has to be system collection.idictionary, and you have those parameters within the code that you will run. So I first generate the results. I create a collection of the collection of this. Okay, sorry, this is because this. I will zoom out a bit because it's not really that readable. So sorry for a moment, I will just zoom out, because that one is very long line. So as you can see, this is just a enumerable collection of this completion results. So exactly what the MSDN told me to generate. And then I look at what I got in the fake bound parameters. I run my command to verify that I have what I want. And then I have this class, right? So next thing you have to do is just do that. You just pass it as the argument for this argument completer, which from my perspective, it's way cleaner than what we've seen before, especially the one that you just passed the whole script block in there. And the beauty of that is that, let's say, I mentioned this, the Jira command, but we have things that work, for example, with, I don't know, creating new AD groups. We usually specify who requested it. So we need AD user again. We have many other commands that take AD user. So if I would have to write this code every time, I would just waste time, first of all, but also, again, the moment I want to change it, so I can improve it a bit, I'm screwed, because I have to go through all those files and not miss any of them and change there. If I use the class, I'm fine, because it will just work. But keep in mind, the scoping of the class is pretty tricky, so it will work in this module, but if I try the same class like outside of the module, it will not work, because the classes will not be visible to outside world. So if I would try to write a function that's not in the module, and add this completer, it will complain that it cannot really initiate it, this type or something like that. But if I have it like this, let's import this module. Maybe I should force it. And then, if I do get conf use session, and as you can see, it works just fine as expected. It's not faster or slower, that's not the point. The point is that you have a structure there, so you are guaranteed that you return proper results. That's the nice thing about classes, is that you cannot return anything and hope for the best. If you say that you will return certain type of results, if you don't, it will complain. So if I would go back to my class and try to modify a bit, let's say I forgot something, that never happens. So let's just comment that one out. What happens maybe need to save it, but it's already here. So you can see that it already shows me, wait a minute, you promised to return this collection. Where is it? Function won't do that, right? When you create a function, it will be happy to return anything you want. You can say output type is this, but you can return, you can say the output type is apples and return all the boxes of bananas and nobody will complain. But with classes, that's not the case. You have to be really picky about the type they return, and you have to return what you promised that you will. So that keeps you away from, like, saves you from yourself. Again, Mr. Typo, you know, he's always there to break the day. So, where were we? Here. So any questions? Because I'm done with the code. Actually, I should see already flashing light. Fortunately, the guy was. Yeah, oh really? Well, according to the rules, I should finish within 45, so.
How do you share data between your users? Let's say you have 80, do you pull 80, like you want all the computers in your 80?
Well, the cute thing about us is that our organization is not huge. But what I would do, to be honest, I would probably, if I would be in a situation where you are a really large organization and you have thousands of users, you probably want to limit it. So I would probably, for the completion where I know what I expect, I would just probably limit the search results, just like OU that I'm in, or something like that, make it a configuration option for the module when you import it or something. Fortunately, we don't have this problem. So I can even read the whole schema and find in our function that we like search AD, I can tap complete the attributes that I want to search on, and it works just fine. It's super quick. But for AD users, yeah, if you have like 50,000 of them, you may have hard time completing it when you just don't type anything and just press tab.
It could also be a slower system or something that you don't have directly access to, so you can't want to cache this somehow, like you've done here.
Yeah, so caching, to be honest, there's like caching is two-sided sword, right? Because it helps you make things fast, but the moment there's a new user created, your cache is no longer valid. So then refreshing this cache becomes really like you have to be smart about it, not to do that too often because then you kind of defeat the purpose of having a cache, but also not to do that too like once a year because that may be not sufficient. And also, I haven't played with that part, but TabExpansionPlusPlus module actually allows you to create some kind of caches for certain things that take time to read. Because if it takes too much time to read, then yeah, instead of getting benefit from tab completion, you will get annoyed by that because it just takes, like, if it takes 5 minutes to wait for result, you are not improving productivity, you are making people miserable. So there are options. I haven't showed them because I haven't played with them. I didn't have a situation where I actually needed them. But if you need them, I think there was some way to cache things and then just read from cache instead of going to the actual technology, like calling new AD, get AD user, for example. Any more questions? If not, oh, okay.
Earlier you showed the session is not the speaker. Where does these information comes from?
Which data?
Earlier on you were showing the speaker's name.
Ah, okay. So in this case, because as I said, I didn't want to risk, I just took the powershell.pizza. It was pizza or? Beer, thank you. I knew that was something cool. So PowerShell.beer, if you access that URL, you will find a JSON with information about all the session speakers and everything. So I kind of downloaded the data from this API to disk, save it as CLI XML, and just use that one. But normally, if I could actually change it so that it actually goes to this API and gets data from there. But I thought, okay, if the internet here may not work, it's better to have it on my box. But generally, you can just call this, so I can maybe show you that. So if you go invoke, oh, we're gonna have alarm. Invoke REST method. I'm answering questions already, so stay cool. Get and Yeah, yes, let's use basic parsing. I'm not sure if I actually use IE on this one. And URI is HTTP, go away, caps lock, HTTP powershell.video. So if you call that one, you will get all the data, assuming internet works, which it should. So now you can see that I got all the data, so now I can just do, because this is invoker's method, is stupid to return just one object, so let's just filter it now where speaker, now let's do that like this, let's speaker match Bruce. So now I just got the sessions from Bruce. And maybe I can just format it as a table so you can see it. So format table title. Yeah, title speaker. So that's what I used initially, but just switched to XML representation of it on my desk. But generally, that's exactly what I use to produce this data. It's exactly the same, just saved to disk rather than call the API remotely. Any more questions? If no, thank you very much for showing. I'm glad that you were released from the zoo or managed to wake up due to anything else. And hope to see you later as well. I have a few more sessions also here. There's one I'm looking forward to, Yin and Yang, where I will show some tips and tricks and some worst practices that I've seen in the wild. And tomorrow I have one with Daniel Bott about the automation of automation. It's about DSC setup that we have. It's also using a lot of classes as well. And Wednesday evening we have X Factor with Torsten about unique stuff. Also can be pretty cool if you're into that kind of things. Thank you very much for showing up. I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the conference and speak to you somewhere in the lobby, I guess. Thank you.